Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our BLI test methodology session. And my name is Say, and I would like to have maybe 30, we may go over a little bit, maybe 30 to 35 minutes for this session. Okay, so we're using Zoom for today's session. So when you first enter this virtual meeting room, you will be initially muted. You don't have to worry about the sound or noise around you. You can just lay back and look at the PC and listen to what I want to tell you. And also, you may have questions here and there during the session. In that case, please mouse over the Zoom menu bar, which will be probably showing the lower part on your screen. So you mouse over that, and you can just click. Once you mouse over, the menu pops up, and you see an icon called Q&A. So you can click on that, and you can just write down your question or comments that you want to share with me. And there's a checkbox if you want to check anonymous, and your name will not be seen by everyone. And by the way, even though you enter this room and your name will not be seen by each other, no worry on that either. And lastly, this session will be recorded and eventually will be uploaded to YouTube. So I'd like to ask for your understanding on that. Okay, so this session, the test methodology session, is actually designed for our TAC meeting. It's as a kind of pre-TAC meeting, which will be held on this Friday, 27th in the morning. So the why we do this is because during the TAC meeting on this Friday, there will be a lot of discussion about how we like to do the A3 or A4 test from now on. And then we notice if our user or our customer, if they don't quite understand how we do the A3, A4 test right now, they may have a hard time to catch up. You mean like, what do you mean changes? We don't know the current status. So this session I will be only using the PowerPoint and only just explain how the test methodology is going for A3 and A4 devices. Okay. Let me try to do this, but sometimes, I would try to stay as much as I can for this full screen. And for some reason, my PC always give me a hard time. So I don't know how much I can go, but let me see. Oh, full screen. Never mind. Give me one more second. Sorry, I have to go like this. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about our lab. We have 2 labs around the world. One is in UK, United Kingdom, and another one is in United States, New Jersey. And the both lab has passed the same ISO standard, meaning that no matter where you have your device tested, it will be under exactly same quality control. And due to this is a printer or copier devices, we're using a lot of paper. So in our lab, all the temperature and humidity, those are strictly controlled and monitored. We keep all the logs for that. And the staffs working in the lab, so actually doing those kind of hands-on tests, they're all on average about like 15 to 20 years in the industry for the testing experience. And we keep pretty much all the tested data, and even after we publish that, in case any users or any other vendors or competitors come back to us to question about the test result, and we have enough evidence to back up to our test result. Okay. Oh, come on. Where's my mouse? Bear with me. My PC is not really doing a good job with me today. Oh, how did that come? Okay, barely. Okay. Now I would like to briefly talk about the task type. What kind of a task type we have? So talking about the task types, we can be divided those into two major types. I got a question. Do you have lab in China or Hong Kong? I'm sorry, we don't. We only have two labs in UK and New Jersey. But thank you for your question. So this one type is the type that I'm going to talk about is we call that public task. And another on the pretty much on another extreme, that's what we call that custom task. We will see the difference between these two types of tasks from now on. So the public task, the characteristic about this is the data is meant to be open or published to the bliQ, which is the training that I doing that every month with everyone. And so once your data is open, you will be automatically become eligible for the bliQ award, BLI award. So that's the good for the public test. And on another extreme, the custom test, we as a company, we will not open any sort of those data for a custom test. We'll only provide the data to the client that asks us for the test. And the location. So if you're doing a public test, we're asking vendors to arrange shipment your device to our lab, either in New Jersey or in UK. And then pretty much basically those public tests will be done in our lab. And if it's a custom test, it can be in our lab or sometimes it can be held on the vendor side. And the biggest difference about the public test is the public test is free. So you only need to worry about the shipment, have your device shipped to our lab. And after that, it will be free of charge of all the testing cost. But to the custom test, it will be different. So we'll give a quotation every single time based on the test item. So the test item, now we talk about test item for all the public tests because we want to compare to other devices. So all the public tests are using the standardized test chart, what I'm going to walk you through this slide and in the stack. And for the custom test, it will be 100% only customized for you. And there are cases and customer will ask us to start from a custom test. So everything remain private, but the menu will be exactly same as a public test. The purpose of that kind of test is because they want to have the control on the test data. So they want to see the test data, and then if it's good, they will say, okay, we open that. We're okay to open that. You can upload that to the database. If it's not good, they say, wait, we want to only keep that to ourselves. So that can be done under custom test. And also is, if it's a custom test, you really get timely feedback. So for example, your IQ test result is not really favorable, or is that something you cannot accept? And lots of time you should just do some like software batches or something, and you can improve that. And if you can improve within a short time frame, and we'll do another test on IQ. So that kind of support is given or provided to custom tests. So that's why even though eventually they will decide to open their result to the public, but sometimes they still start from the custom. That's one type of a custom test still we're doing, actually a lot. And another example on the custom task can be something we don't do that in our public task. So for example, you want to focus on the power consumption. You want to prove that how less power your device is using versus other competitors' device. We're using, you want to improve how your OEM supplies is superior than the third party's one in terms of quality, in terms of yield. That type of customer completely, 100% customized for you. So anything you want, pretty much we can test that for you. And for duration, so in public tests, because it's standardized test item, so pretty much for the A3 device, it takes us 30 business days. And for the A4 device, usually take 20 business days. And for the custom test, if it's do the same public menu, it will be pretty much the same time frame. But if it's different, it will be very case by case. Okay, now I would like to go into each important test area in our public test. So the major section or major area that we deeply look into will be these 4 areas. 3 are grayed out. So reliability, image quality, usability, and the speed. And I'm going to cover each of those today. So we'd like to start with the reliability. So reliability is a task that pretty much we're using the same test target for A3 and A4. And the difference is number of impression. So A3 device will print the full monthly duty cycle in 25 business days. For the A4 devices, pretty much we'll do the half of the monthly duty cycle in 15 business days. So just looking at the time duration for this reliability, you can see because the whole task takes a 30 business day or 20 business day, it's almost like more than 80%, around 80% of time is contributed to the reliability test. So if you are kind of aiming for a word, so you know that the reliability has a pretty heavy weight in terms when we try to evaluate or choose a device as a pick a word or line of the year. So that's reliability coming to place into a quite heavy weight on that. And among the impression, if we break that down, you will see that 75% will be print job and 25% will be copy job. And for some A3 devices, and it will also test the finishing function for that. And next page, these are the charts or test target that we use for the reliability. So I thought, we open those kind of charts for you that will allow you to have better image to kind of vision that what kind of task, what kind of document being printed during the reliability. So we also use a lot, share the same test target for some speed tests as well. So for this, you probably can see this test target quite often today. Next, image quality. So for A3 and A4, we both will test image quality for density and gamut. For density, we will use the test target on the right-hand corner like this. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. Okay. And we're using those solid blocks on the 4 corners and to test or to measure the density for that. And for gamut, we're using pretty much this one. We call the IT8 target. So this IT8 target actually will be printed every day during the test. For A3 device, this ITA chart will be printed after the devices are warmed up and after the calibration is done. And for most of the A4 device, there may not be calibration. And in that case, we will do this, we'll print this ITA chart after 50 pages. So when the device fully warmed up and in a good status. And then we will do, even though we print this ITA chart every day, but when actual using for test or using for as a test result, we only pick up 5 samples, certain impressions from this ITA chart, and then measure that to give you that on the test report. So this one page, you've probably seen that in a test report before. And next, still is inside the image quality, but it's only for the A3 MFP, is a scan quality. So since our previous TAC meeting, which it was held 2019, and we gathered information from vendors, they want us to extend our regular scan quality into more in-depth or more difficult scan quality test. So what do we do? What we did is we adapt the single scanner function test to apply the similar test into the A3 MFP. And this is what we're doing right now. So first, you see these 2 charts here, or test target here. This is for the OCR accuracy. And we use those kind of targets for that. And in addition to OCR accuracy, and we're also looking at the image school, the correction, and the auto rotation, or the background suppression or noise, and also a blank page removal or color dropout. So until this, it's pretty much all the basic scan function and we're looking at. And beyond that, we'll also have some real life example in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And if you're just looking at any A3 MFP test result test report, and those target is on the test report on the thumbnail. So I didn't put it here. So for Word document, we're looking at, for example, because we're looking at a business world, you probably have a company logo on the top as an image. Then you have maybe attendees and you have indent, and you may have a chart or table that inside that word. And we also have a photo inserted in between the paragraphs, as well as like a different direction of text, like a vertical text. For those, this is how many items that we're looking into for one page of a Word document. See how well those can be captured. And for Excel, we see those, again, company logo, and if it's a number are correctly captured into correct cell, and also some reverse letters, if those are also working for the Excel, that some forms that you will see very normal in the business world. And for PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint, you have some design on the background, and you have your graphic on the top, maybe bullet point, that type of thing. So if that can precisely, recognize, okay, this is a graphic, this is a background, and this is what you've written. So see those kind of information is correctly captured or not. So this is the current we do for scan quality on the A3 devices. Usability. So usability is something we do the same thing. Pretty much we look at the same item for A3 and A4 devices. However, you should not compare the A3 usability score versus the A4 usability score. So the reason being that is because we see that A3 device and A4 device is completely designed for different purpose. So for example, into the hardware, so obviously the A3 devices have a bigger control panel compared to A4 smaller devices. And for A3 device, it's designed for as a shared device. So you're using on the department or work group. And versus the A4 device, maybe just to put into a personal office and a very small group to, if this is shared and shared with a very small group. So in that sense, you know, the A3 device, usually you will have some serviceman to come in or engineer to come in to do the maintenance for you. And versus A4, it's more like a self-maintenance. So given this much of the difference, obviously we cannot compare apple with an orange. So that's why, even though, you know, you will see the same items listed here for A3 and A4, you should never compare those two scores, okay? So for usability, we mainly look at from 2 points of views. One, as IT personnel aspect. So from how to manage a device. From that point of view, we see the web utility. So how much information you can gather from web utility menu, and also how much of a consumable yields, if that really follows the vendor's recommended or vendors suggest the volume, and replacement, the parts replacement. And I got a question before asking me, so is that, do you mean here like the more parts that can be replaced by the user and they will get higher score? Actually, the answer is no. So here we're looking at how easy it's can be handled, can be maintained. Well, you can argue the more parts it can be replaced by the user itself. Of course, they shorten or there's no wait time. You don't have to wait to the engineer to come in, so which leads to minimum the downtime. So I agree with you on that, but it has to be easy. It has to be like, you know, people don't have such a skill, don't need to have some training to replace that sort of parts. Then we say, okay, it's good. But if you require training, you know, like me, I just walk you to that screen. I see, oh, it tells me some parts need to be replaced, and I couldn't do that. Or even I call the IT people and they couldn't do that, and still it wouldn't work, right? So it's all the balance there. And of course, paper tray, and you know how many sheets can be in there, and that will kind of lead to different how many times you need to feed the paper. And when you feed the paper, if the tray is easy to open and close, when you want to change the paper to from the A3 sizes to A4 size or vice versa, with that adjusting bar is very easy to move. And also misfeed removal, and that, you know, it just follows the instruction on the control panel when you easily spot the misfeed and can you easily remove that. And only for A4, we have estimated user intervention in times, just because that A4 device is designed for the self-maintenance. So we only have that item for A4 device. And another aspect is a user office worker aspect. So you just walk to that printer or copier and you do any print or scan or copy job. And how easy, how well the control panel's been designed. And if you can change the number of the copy that after you submit the job to the device, or also the driver, you know, when you want to do a booklet, does the driver allow you to easily do that or not? That type of thing will be all measured in the usability. Okay, lastly, speed. So for the speed, we do the print speed, copy speed, and scan speed. And well, for all the A3 and the P, for A4, usually a lot of time only do the print and the copy. And just because sometimes it doesn't have the good scan on that. So that's just because the A4 being like that. So for the first, for print speed, to this point, A3, A4 share the pretty much exactly the same item. So for the recovery time, we see that the device is from the sleep mode, and that includes warming up time and also the image processing time until the first page comes out. So that's recovery time. For the F pod, that will start with the ready mode and only include the image processing time and when the first page is dropped on the tray. So that's F pod. So the target I'm showing you here is for the F pod. And this is the color, and this is a mono Word document for that. And also for the single set. For the single set, we're using the same target here. So for 3 pages, we do this 1, 2, 3. For 10 pages, that's the full set. So that's what you see, the 10 pages and 3 pages, the single set. The job stream is something like, imagine that a situation when everyone comes to the work in the morning or come back from lunch, and you kind of like a screening through your email, where you open some attachment, where you open the website that you want to keep that as a reference. So we're imagining that pretty much many people may push the print button at very similar timing. So this task is designed for all 19 pages, all arrive the same time to the device. And we see how much the productivity that the device can perform in that kind of circumstance. So that's job stream test. And lastly, average print time. So this is the difference between A3, A4 is for A3, because we have a faster machine, which have a bigger paper draw or paper tray. So usually we will test that up to a more higher sets. So maybe 20 sets. For the A4, they print exactly the same target and usually only up to 10 sets. And most often only up to 5 sets. You rarely see any A4 devices print up to 20 sets, but there is, but very rarely. So from those 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 10, or 20 sets, we will give you the average print time. And the charts will be like this, showing at the test report. Copy. So the copy, that's also from the last TAC meeting since 2019. And we received the opinion that maybe we should focus more on the scan instead of a copy anymore. So that's why we kind of removed some burden from the copy task. The copy now is pretty simple. Is we just do one copy time, the first copy time versus the one single set. So for A3, we're still using the 3 pages and 10 pages. And for A4, we're only use the 10 pages set, which I show you many times. And this is how it's been showing on the test report. We should do, simplex to simplex to simplex to duplex. That type of thing is being done for A3, A4. So lastly, scan speed. So for scan, we also do scan speed. We time how much scan time been doing. And also we'll see the scan size So from the speed, we do from the platinum glass and also from the document theater, and we tested those the difference. The only difference between, or the big difference between A3 devices or A4 devices is for A3, we're using the long edge. For the A4, I will see this edge when you go using A3. But for the A4, you will be using the short edge, which is the upper, the short one. So that may affect a little bit difference in times of time. And so for the scan time, pretty much we're using, again, similar target from this, but for the scan size, this is the thumbnail for the target we use for scan size. Okay, so pretty much until here, I covered all the important section that we purposely look into during our public test. So our public test align with our test report. So again, if you looking at or reading a test report, you see the same thing: reliability, image quality, usability, speed. Those are the section that you may want to pay attention. We still have some like specification, we have some maybe hardware value, that type of thing. It will be still including the test report, but still this 4 area is somewhere very important. Lastly, there's a big difference between the test report on A3 and A4. For A3 test report, it's being scored from 1 to 10. So 1 as the lowest, 10 as the best. But for A4, it's in from excellent to fair into 5 scale. So, but for other things, what you still can compare, but just like I said, for usability, you see exactly the item is the same, but you cannot or you shouldn't compare A3 8 with this very good. It doesn't equal to each other. So I just brought that to everyone's attention. Okay, and this is my last slide pretty much for today's session. Is there any question I can answer or anything else I may be able to help you? Well, you can, just bring up the question. And when you are thinking about question, there's a very short survey that I would like to ask all of you to answer that for me. So we want to know what function do you use, or if you're very first time to the bliQ, so you plan to use most in bliQ. And also, do you think the bliQ can or will help you on your daily practice? Please let us know your feedback on this. And while you are answering this survey, there's a last announcement I would like to make, which I pretty much would do the same thing on the tech meeting as well. I would like to let everyone know that we opened a YouTube channel right now. And if you go to, we have English, that page for you. So we have those, pretty much my trainings will be all uploaded. Like today's training will be uploaded to the YouTube later. But we have some like short movies, like 10 minutes will tell you about our company, or some, for example, some little things I don't have time to cover, like the product timeline, the little features I would like to introduce, or some, in case you forgot how to log in, that type of thing. For those kind of long training session up to the short movies, and we open that to YouTube, and you can utilize that as a reference when you either reading the test report or doing some of the basic search in our database. So we're hoping this can help you. So if you like the movie, please, give me your thumbs up, or I'm also asking please to subscribe our channel so that you will receive a notice when we upload new movies on that. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any question, oh, now it's working? Ah, now it's working, come on. And I'd like to thank you all for joining today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again, our tag meeting on this Friday. Thank you.